It's good to be back.
So good to be back.
Back to die on this hill again with my friend Dave.
Yeah, we're better than cats.
Right?
Got more than 9 lives. We die on the hill. I've been slapped by tortillas 3 times technically because Joey got to slap me too.
I gotta tell you, I died on a hill, and I'm gonna have to eat my words. We're gonna start here with the NBA and the NBA playoffs. I gotta eat my words. I gotta say, I didn't think any of the young kids had it in them. I didn't think it was their matchup. I could have sworn that the Nuggets were gonna run right through the West, and yet they're getting slapped around right now.
At home.
At home. I mean, last night they did it without Rudy Gobert. And I got to eat some crow. I got to do it. Listen, you got to be a big enough man to admit when you're wrong.
That's the
And
whole
I'm
idea of dying on the hill.
You know what I mean?
You can't die on the hill and then not own the
I was
death.
buried on that hill.
Yeah.
I was buried there, and that's where I'll stay. But these T-Wolves look tough right now. Anthony Edwards looks like a absolute player. He looks like he is a somebody.
Yeah.
And, I mean, arguably MVP of the playoffs so far.
Yeah.
He's otherworldly, and I got to eat crow, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to let you talk a little bit about what you think about this series here, because this, to me, is a little bit... This is a shock. Not even a little bit of a shock. It's a shock.
So I said last week when we talked about this series, the height and athleticism of Minnesota is going to cause trouble on Denver. Now, I did also say that I believe Denver would be able to handle it. And I saw it said perfectly on X today, Twitter, X, whatever it's called. I saw it on there today where somebody pointed out the fact that Denver basically has consistently had teams in a position where those teams had to adjust to how Denver plays. And once that happens, Denver, they're just too good to let you beat them at their own game. Now, Minnesota, with the way they're able to play and how they're built, they're forcing Denver to play their style of play and play into Minnesota's hands. And that's not good for Denver. Now, I do believe Denver is going to make this a series. But if the first two games are any indication, Denver's back's already against the wall. I mean, you're literally talking they have to, bare minimum, have to split in Minnesota, which still puts them down 3-1. But if they don't come out of there taking back home court advantage, do we believe they're going to be able to come back from down 3-0 or down 3-1 if they happen to win game 3? Do we think that's doable against? I mean, Minnesota would have to play some really bad basketball, and Denver would have to play some pretty good really good basketball. This has been a very shocking first two games of this series, not just because Minnesota won, but how Minnesota's won, the dominance in which they have won. The fact that with Denver, you should have had some changes, I should say, to maybe how certain people were treated by the referees, I guess you would say. For those of you that don't know where I'm trying to go with this, there's a certain player on the Nuggets who decided to throw a heat pack and I believe a towel on the floor during gameplay, which I don't know how you say it, but it's not a good look.
No, it's a horrible look. I mean, to be honest, I know they didn't do anything to Joel Embiid, but how do you not do something here?
But that's the thing. Like, the NBA has set a bar now. Like, both situations put you in a position where somebody could potentially get hurt, where the game is being disrupted, and is just dirty basketball play. And Embiid physically grabs another player. Murray throws something onto the court. I mean, the NBA set the bar. If you're not going to suspend Embiid, you can't come back and suspend Murray too. Like, you just can't do it. So, I mean, that at least that's my 2 cents. But overall, Denver's frustrated. And it's funny to think that just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, you had Jokic talking after going up 3-0 on the Lakers that, sometimes it gets boring. And, you got to keep your head in the game, or if you don't, you're going to lose. And to think that Lakers team was considered boring by Jokic, and now this Minnesota team has this Denver team and Jokic against the ropes. It's crazy how much life can change in a very short period of time. I guess that's the point I'm getting to with that.
Yeah. I just, going back to Murray and talking about that situation, it's just so bad for the game. And things like this, I mean, between what happened with him, what happened with Embiid, to take the superstars out of the game, I get it. Nobody wants to do that. NBA doesn't want to do that. But I think at some point you gotta. And to me, it goes back to, I heard this earlier today, the Knicks back in the 90s. When you had that scuffle that happened and, holding on to Van Gundy's leg and everything else, there were certain Knicks that got suspended because they came off the bench, but they didn't come off the bench and get involved. They just literally took a step off the court.
Yeah.
And they're automatic. Now, I get that that's the rules. And if you step on the court when an altercation going on, you're automatically suspended. I get that. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense how that's an automatic suspension and this isn't.
Yeah.
And
especially considering how you were allowed to play basketball in the 90s.
Yeah.
To say that's how they're going to treat these things. But my biggest issue with the way Embiid played, the way Jamal Murray played, is simply this, right? The biggest change that's happened in the game over the last, let's say, 15 years has been the 3-ball and guys shooting the ball from insane places on the court. And Steph Curry, being who he was and the face of the league that he was, now you see that every generation, no matter how young you get to no matter what level of ball these kids are playing, you see it across the board. These kids are now seeing, hey, if I can be as good as Joel Embiid, I can play dirty like that. Hey, if I get as good as Jamal Murray and be a integral part of a NBA championship winning team, I can just throw crap out on the floor when the game's not going my way. I really, really dislike that. And I love Steph Curry. He's made the game fun. I don't think Steph Curry has done harm to the game. I think my problem with the whole three-point shot thing is that the coaches that are watching these kids are like, dude, learn how to make a layup and complete a bounce pass before you worry about being able to hit a 27, 30-foot three-point shot. And that's not how these kids want to play basketball because they're like, well, I want to be as good as Steph Curry. It's like, that's great. Steph Curry can still make a layup and dribble the ball and do bounce pass. It's not the threes are what get the highlights, but everything else he does, he learned first. Yeah. So that one really bothered. That part about it really bothers me because the NBA, the message they're sending is to kids that it's okay. If you're as good as these guys and you make it to our league, we'll let you get away with the same kind of crap. That to me is the problem. You have to suspend guys for the things that they do that put the health of other players at risk. And you're not talking the 14th guy on the bench that only plays when the team's up 30 and there's 30 seconds left. Right? You're not talking that guy. If somebody slipped on that heating pack, you don't know what could have happened. Somebody could have tore a ACL. Somebody could have broken an ankle, sprained an ankle, gotten a high ankle sprain, missed 2-3 weeks. Like, dude, you're messing with people's careers. That's
it's like when Embiid pulled Robinson down. You pull somebody down like that in basketball by their legs, anything could have happened. Could have snapped an ankle. Bad enough he missed the next game, but and he's back to playing now. But still, anything can happen. And to knowingly do that and to have that intention, I'm sorry, I'm with you. I think the NBA is sending a bad example to the youth and a bad example to young superstars coming up. I couldn't agree with you more.
For lack of a better phrase, they're dropping the ball on this one.
Yeah.
It's that simple to me. They're dropping
kind of like
the ball.
I'm dropping the ball on all these young kids because I got to be honest. Maybe I turned 40. Maybe I'm the old guy in the room now. I don't know. I think I am. I got to be, right? I'm probably the old guy in the room now. But I didn't believe at first. I got to believe now. I got to say, the Thunder look young. They look hungry. They're going against a pretty young Mav team, too. Although I think Luka Doncic is otherworldly. Easily one of the top few players in not just the NBA, the world.
He's a top 5 player in the world.
Yeah, he can do everything on the court. Yeah. So, I look at this series. They're kicking off game 1 tonight. I got to think I'm probably going to be wrong about this series too, especially with how wrong I was with the Nuggets. So I'm gonna be man enough to pivot, and I'm gonna take the Thunder in this series.
Ooh,
but
I did
game
not
1 going
see
tonight.
That one coming.
I got to eat my words on the Nuggets series. I do. The Nuggets T-Wolves. I blew it. I have the Nuggets. Now I'm not saying I'm kind of writing the Nuggets off. They can come back, but like you said, we said to lose 2 at home. I don't know how you come back from that. To be honest, like in a playoff series, so that means you got to go out and win on the road, and I just don't think you're going to win enough on the road. So, yeah, I am going to pick the Thunder. I don't know where you're at on this series, but the Thunder have probably the most talented young roster in the league. Who is it? Kid Gilchrist or... I can't pronounce some of these names. I got to be honest. I am.
It's okay. This is an English class. You're fine.
Exactly. But all I know is they are uber talented.
Gilgis Alexander. That's who you're thinking of.
And Chet Holmgren. Yeah.
Well, Holmgren's really good. For how young he is, that kid is really good. Also, only one of this was technically his rookie year because he missed last year.
Yeah.
Technically his rookie year, and this kid played all 82 games. One of only, I think, 8 players.
Hold on, wait. That deserves some applause. Yeah. I got to be honest.
Good
for you.
And I'm sorry. I think
about damn time.
I think it is a little sad that we're celebrating a guy play. Like out of all the guys that play in the NBA, I think a total of 6 or 8 of them played all 82 games. That's it. And we know plenty of guys that miss games just simply due to rest, right? Not because they were hurt. Like, if you were hurt, you should miss a game, right? Like, you shouldn't play through. Like, if it's a playoff game, yeah, maybe you should push through certain injuries. But overall, we get it, right? It's an 82-game season. Miss a game or 2 if you need to because of injury. But really impressed by him. I think the Thunder are a very, very, very good team. I think this series goes 7 games. But I am going to take the experience and the fact that you have a top 5 player in the world on your team. And I will be picking...
They also have the great saboteur, though.
I'm still taking the Mavericks.
I get it. And listen, at times, Kyrie's looked otherworldly, too. And he could be great, but...
And they're already talking about giving Kid an extension. Kyrie and Luka work together very well. The Mavericks, they're going. I think they get through this round until they meet their doom. But I think the Mavericks are getting through this round.
You think they give him max money?
Who?
What do you mean who? Irving. Or you think they
Kyrie
give Kyrie?
Irving? Yeah, they're not letting him go. That's why they're gonna keep Luka.
I'm sorry, that's a bad investment. That's something I wouldn't put on Shark Tank. I got to be honest. Like I wouldn't try to pitch that to Mark Cuban because guys, first of all, not even about health with him. I mean, maybe mental health because he needs to take a lot of breaks and he has a lot of different issues and social issues and this, that, and the other thing that are more important sometimes than being on the court. I'm not giving a guy a max extension who can absolutely cripple my team by just deciding to stay home because he doesn't like what, somebody says out there in the world. You know what I mean? Like that to me, it's not an injury that's keeping you down. It's yourself. And he's got a problem with himself right now. And that to me isn't worth investing in. So I don't know why Mark Cuban would do this.
So
it doesn't make
just real
as much
quick,
sense.
don't forget Mark Cuban no longer owns a majority share of the Mavericks. Mark Cuban sold most of his shares of the Dallas Mavericks. He only owns a small percentage of it now. So, but either way, I get the point you're trying to make. I love the little Shark Tank, connection. Very well done. I do respect all that. But you have to look at it like this. The last time the Dallas Mavericks had the chance to make a Western Conference Finals was when they ended up beating the Miami Heat in the finals back in, I think it was 2010, something like that. Either way. So you have to remember that. So if you're telling me Kyrie Irving, your best player, Luka, loves him, there's a good relationship from kids' perspective with Irving, and he contributes to your team making a Western Conference Finals, there's just no way you don't pay him. There's just not. We all are well aware that talent trumps what you do off of the field, off of the court, off of the ice. Talent always trumps it. If you are one of those guys that is not just simply replaced, you are going to get paid and people are going to look the other way when you do something stupid outside of the game. How many NFL players have we seen get a job after doing some messed up stuff?
I'm not saying he's not going to get a job. I'm just saying I wouldn't invest max money in him is what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that he's not going to play in the NBA. He's getting out, whatever. I'm saying he's not worth max money at this point in his career. He's not a spring chicken. Has now a track record of not just what he did with the Nets, but also what he did in Boston.
What he did in Cleveland.
And what he did in Cleveland. So, I mean, you watch the trail. You'd have to be a little bit silly to say,
guess what?
Is it worth it?
Each one of those teams paid him or gave up a lot of draft capital to get him.
But do you realize that the Mavericks still made the wrong choice in the end? Because instead of re-signing Brunson for way less money, they would have paid him. They would have paid him less than what the Knicks paid him, and he would have stayed there. He didn't want to really leave, but it is.
They made an offer
yeah.
to him. It's not like they just stiffed him.
No, I get it, but I'm just saying that instead you're going to go out and invest max money in Kyrie Irving. I mean, you look at it, Brunson, 25, 26-year-old. What's Kyrie, 30, 31 now?
I think
got to be close to that, even or older. That's what I mean. So, are you going to invest your money there, or with Brunson's contract coming up? Are you going to try to lure him back? Would you rather give max money to somebody else out there on the market? Like, that's to me where I would focus, because they could have had Jalen Brunson cheaper, and instead they went this direction. I just don't understand the Kyrie move. Anyway, but we don't got to dwell on it.
That's a shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Like, obviously with what we've seen Brunson do in New York, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
He showed some signs there in Dallas.
But Dallas is not going to let Kyrie walk. I don't know if they'll give him max. That I think you're right on, right? I don't disagree on the max side of things.
That's where I'm dying.
They will not let him go.
That's where
that to me, he will be wearing a Mavericks jersey probably for the remainder of his career.
Okay.
That hill, I will. Just to be clear, I am not dying on that hill though, because he's Kyrie Irving, and he might one day wake up.
If the over under is 0.5, if the over under is 0.5, so that whether or not Kyrie Irving will play for one more team, and the over under is 0.5. Where are you going? So you're telling me you don't see Kyrie Irving You would put your money on the 0 because you don't think he's leaving the Mavericks. Because to me, I'm putting my money on the point. I'm putting it on the. I'm going over. I'm going over every time because I don't think he ends his career
because of
there.
the age aspect, right? Like he might still want to play, and a team might want a veteran point guard on their team. I don't know. I don't know if I can take the under on that one. I think that he would like to finish his career in Dallas. I think Dallas would like him to finish his career there.
All right. Well, moving over to the East, I'm going to play a little clip here because before we dive into the games, Jimmy Butler had a lot to say about these playoffs and how the Celtics wouldn't be there and the Knicks wouldn't be there if he were there. But the problem is he's not there, and I don't know if he's going to, be there much longer after Pat Riley's response, which I'm going to play for you now. But, yeah, listen to this.
For him to say that, I thought, is that Jimmy trolling or is that Jimmy serious? If you're not on the court playing against Boston or on the court playing against the New York Knicks, you should keep your mouth shut. And your criticism of those teams.
I could not agree with him more. You a nail on the head right there. Yeah, you've got to be kidding me. I get it that he wants to exude confidence, whatever, and he's saying, "Oh, well, if I was there," he thinks maybe it puts him in a position of leverage for an extension. I don't know, but to me, these are some stupid comments, and I'll tell you what, doesn't sound like Pat Riley likes him very much, and he's the guy you need to keep happy. He's the guy you want on your side, especially if you're looking for that extension like Butler is. So I want to see how he handles this criticism. And to me, it's pretty wild because you don't normally see GMs or people of Pat Riley's stature. I mean, president of operations there with Miami. You don't see people of that stature and his ilk coming out and,
But let's be honest. Pat Riley is probably one of maybe 2 or 3 other guys in the NBA that could say that about their superstar player. And in my opinion, get away with it.
I mean, Jimmy Butler may be a dog, but he's in the dog house right now.
No doubt about that. But I also think Jimmy Butler does respect the hell out of Pat Riley.
Oh, yeah.
I really do. So I think
I would hope he does, but that's why I'm wondering how he's going to take it. Is he going to come out and respond to that? Because the first time microphone gets in front of Jimmy Butler,
it's going to be asked.
Somebody's going to ask him about it, and what is his response? Now, if he takes the high road and he takes the approach of, humbleness of, he's kind of right. I shouldn't have said that. If I'm there next year, I'm going to make sure I make these teams pay, blah, blah, blah. And he turns it into something positive, then I can get on board with that. And I can say, if he comes out and says, man, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's got to, write the checks and, stay out of my way, then I think you got a whole different issue. So I think it's in the way he's going to respond. And I think in the way he responds could be how that extension contract and talks go.
Jimmy's on another team if he responds negatively to it. Pat Riley don't give 2 shits. Pat Riley will do whatever he can. He's literally has a winning track record in the NBA that goes back to the early 80s. Like, dude has been winning rings for 40 years. He can do whatever the hell he wants, and people are going to trust in him. No, Miami's ownership ain't just going to go fire him. Like, Pat Riley will quit that job or retire. Like, Miami's ownership's not firing him. So, yeah, Jimmy Butler needs to handle this the right way, and I hope he does. Jimmy Butler got traded from Chicago, and I was not happy about that. But I'm happy to see him in Miami, which seems like the right place for him to be over the last couple years. And I do want to see him have success. It was enjoyable watching the run they went on last year. You just knew they weren't going to have enough to be able to beat Denver. But he does have health issues, and he's pushing. Oh, so yeah, Kyrie, you were probably right. I think Kyrie's like late 20s, early 30s. Jimmy Butler's going to be 34 this coming season. That's what I heard. So yeah, so Jimmy Butler's getting up there, right? Like, so yeah, I mean, he's got 1 year left with Miami under contract. Is there two more years? It seems like is what his agent supposedly is going to be asking for, and close to max money. I mean, are you going to pay Jimmy? Talking about Kyrie. I mean, playoff Jimmy was no joke, but NBA Finals Kyrie, that was special. That was a performance for the ages. If it wasn't for the fact that LeBron basically averaged a triple-double, Kyrie was your MVP. Like, so, yeah, Jimmy, I hope you handle it the right way. Miami's where you need to be.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, the place to be right now is in New York because, I mean, if you're not a New York fan, then I feel sorry for you because it's a fun time right now.
It sucks.
It is a fun time to be in New York. Well, I mean, listen, you can be excited about literally every single sport right now because you could be excited if you're a Giant or Jet fan about the draft. You could be excited about baseball because the Yankees and Mets are playing. You could be excited about hockey because for a while there, the Islanders were in the playoffs, Rangers are in the playoffs. Only team that kind of missed out in the local region was the Devils.
Even though they knocked out the Rangers last year.
Which they did. But do we know what pick the Devils got today?
No, it took too long to load. I didn't feel like watching it.
You could be hopeful for their draft pick tonight and where they're going to draft. So there's many reasons to be excited, including the Knicks, the Rangers. It's an exciting time to be around this sports town. And I got to tell you, this Knick team is fun to watch. And this series against the Pacers, they took game one last night, another close game. Every game is a dogfight with them. Every game is entertaining to watch. And it's reminiscent of the 90s. It's reminiscent of all those times when you would see Dale Davis and Rick Schmitz and Antonio Davis and Reggie Miller and, 8 points and 9 points and 8 seconds, whatever it was.
Today's the anniversary of that, actually.
I bet it is. I think it was 8 points and 9 seconds, right? Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. So these guys have a history already. Now, granted, that history was a long time ago. That was back when the Knicks actually had a stretch from, I heard this stat and I couldn't believe it. I actually had to think back and go, wow, the Knicks actually did that? From 1992 to 2000, the Knicks made it into the second round every single year.
Yep.
Unbelievable stretch. Haven't had that since. We've been waiting to get back to glory.
Including 2 finals appearances.
Yeah. I mean, and then you include the strike shortened season where they made the championship too. So you had 94, 95, and then you had that year, 2000 or 2001.
That's the second. Yeah, they made it twice. 99. No. Was it 99
they played twice against the Rockets and lost in the finals, didn't they?
They played
only once.
Yeah, it was Orlando 94. And Shaq.
Oh, they knocked us out in 95.
Yeah,
that's it. So it's been a long time, and we've been waiting to see this rivalry, and I'm glad that it's got a spark. I'm glad that it's got some intensity. I'm glad the first game was close, but it does make me nervous. I do think the Knicks need to hold serve here at home. Otherwise, they lose this game and it turns into a home series for Indiana. So, could go either way. The Knicks do have a terrible record. I think it was like 1-16 when they go down 0-1 in a series. So, they thankfully didn't go down 0-1. They didn't have to fight back. They have the lead. What Jalen Brunson has been able to do. 5
straight 40-point games. Or 4 straight,
Four straight. But in the game, the fifth game that you're talking about, I think he scored 39. So,
he joined Jordan, Elgin Baylor.
I'll give you the other one.
Allen Iverson?
No.
I know Jerry West, the logo, holds the record.
No.
He did like 6 or 7.
It's like Jerry West, Michael Jordan.
Elgin Baylor.
Nope.
Elgin Baylor is one of them.
If it's Baylor, then it's not one of the others. You can look it up again, but I know that it was Bernard King. Because he was a Knick. In 1984, Bernard King had 4 straight 40-point games.
And who was the other one?
I think it was Jordan, Brunson, King, and if you're convinced it's Baylor,
I'm about 90% confident that I'm remembering that correctly.
That's who. It would be.
I just know.
Then it's not Jerry West.
No, Jerry West, because Jerry West holds the record. There was 4 guys that did it 4 times. And then Jerry West did it 7.
Oh, okay.
The logo. And, for anybody, we never got to watch Jerry West, right? you're on the tail end of this thing we called life if you watch Jerry West play basketball. Like it really is that simple. But to think that a guy scored 40 points or more 7 straight times in a playoff game.
Hold on, wait. And I believe that was probably without that thing that they love to shoot from now.
The 3-point line. He did it with all 1s and 2s. That's crazy.
Yeah.
To think about. But, yeah, no, look, this Knicks team 100% reminds me of the 90s Knicks team. I'm not a Knicks fan. By far, I am not a Knicks fan. I had to watch the Giants win 2 Super Bowls since the last time I saw a Cowboys team win a Super Bowl. I am not in a position that I'm going to be okay watching the Knicks win an NBA championship before seeing my Bulls win another NBA championship. With that said, I can't remember a time I have had so much fun in the last probably 15 years watching basketball. Maybe the games I have to think about is like Kobe's final game when he dropped 60, right? That was a special moment. Now, I'm not talking about playoffs. Derrick Rose and the Joakim Noah and the Thibodeau-led Chicago Bulls. But you always knew LeBron was in the way and they weren't going to be able to knock LeBron out. Like, I always knew it. You believed and you rooted for your team, but in the back of your head, you were like, this is how people felt during the Jordan era. Like, getting through him is just not going to happen. Like, the finals is your best chance to beat him. So, again, with that said, though, genuinely have had so much fun watching this Knicks team play basketball. They make the teams that they play that 90s style, grind it out. I mean, out of the 6 games they played against the Sixers, 2 of them broke 100 points? Each team broke 100 points?
Yeah.
Like, they had, game 1 was 94-88. Like, this game 1 with the Knicks and Pacers, each team barely got into the hundreds. It was a battle. It's a fight. Every rebound is a battle. You never see guys just backing off, at least on the Knicks side, which forces the team they're playing to play that way. So much fun. It's why the Pacers, all in all, ended up losing this game. Look, I do not agree with that blocking foul or illegal pick foul at the end. I think that was a horrible call.
No. Here's the thing: it was the right call, but it shouldn't have been called because it does 95% of the time it doesn't get called.
I don't 95%
of the time that's just a pick play, whatever.
That was a clean pick.
He was not set.
DiVincenzo flopped like LeBron gave him classes.
Not saying he didn't flop. Not saying he didn't take a couple classes.
So bad.
Oh, listen. Absolutely. I'm not denying that.
Call.
But what I'm saying is that doesn't stop the fact that he wasn't set.
No, you do not let teams play like this for that long and then decide to call a ticky-tack illegal pick.
Ticky-tack foul.
That was a bad...
But
that's not a foul to me. That is a legit pick. A foul is when you kick the leg out. He literally stood there like this and slightly moved his hip. I watched Jokic last night in the first four of their first 7 plays, hand the ball off and stick his ass out in front of the guy, not a single call. Do not tell. That was a bad call. I don't care what New York said. I don't care what the refs on the court said. I don't care what Knicks fans say. That was a horrible call. And if they called that against the Knicks, New York City would have been burned to the ground last night.
But again,
if they called that on the Knicks, you would not sit here and say, "Oh, well, it was the right call at the wrong time." You would not say that.
If that went against the Knicks, what I would be sitting here saying is exactly what you're saying now. That you don't call that ticky-tack stuff
in the playoffs, period.
Let alone in the fourth quarter with less than a minute to go. You don't do that. It's like being in the NFL and you're a ref. You should not be pulling the flag out unless you absolutely have to pull the flag out if there's, down to the last play of the game. You know what I mean? And it's a Hail Mary. There's so much pushing and shoving that goes on. I guarantee you there's pass interference there somewhere.
Unless the defense is tackling the guy to the ground while he's trying to catch the ball, you do not throw a flag in that.
You don't throw a flag.
Moment.
But again, we all know that technically, that is pass interference. Technically, we know that. We know that on a technical level, that is a foul. But none of us like to see it called in that situation. unless you're a Knicks fan. Then you like that call and you root for that ref to keep it going.
You want that ref to get a bonus. You're like,
You know
dude,
what I
what's
mean?
your home address? I'm gonna send you some edibles.
You're traveling with us, right? So I mean that's that. But so I think you nailed it on the head. That you're absolutely right. I don't think, and as much as I'm a Knicks fan, you don't make that because it's too impactful to the situation of the game.
Let's
too
be honest.
impactful.
That's so much easier for you to say because the call went in the Knicks' favor and they won the game, so you're good. But that's got to make it a lot easier to say. But with that said, right, because that call really legitimately last night, that pissed me off because that was such a great game. And to me, what it did was it gave all those Pacer fans, and I'm not saying this in a like, oh, Pacers fans suck or they're horrible fans, like how I feel about Philly fans. No disrespect to anybody that might be listening to us at a Philly fan, but your fan base sucks. But Pacers fans, if they don't make that call, you're a Pacers fan waking up today saying my team blew a freaking 9-point lead with under 5 minutes or with like 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We blew a 9-point lead. And not only blew a 9-point lead, but ended up losing by 5. We got outscored by 14 points in half a quarter in game 1 of the second round of the NBA playoffs. That, to me, is what you want the team you're playing to be saying to themselves. Not if it wasn't for that call. Because even the guys in the Pacers locker room, that's what they're going to focus on. So they're going to go out with no lack of confidence, with nothing against them other, like, instead of stumbling into the game saying, man, we fucked up, we blew a 14-point lead, like, man, we had that one, like, in a feeling of disappointment. Instead, they feel like they got robbed, and that means you come out with a chip on your shoulder. Now, don't get me wrong, the Knicks play every game with a chip on their shoulder. So do I think that's going to make or break that game 2? No, but it means Indiana is going to come out and play, but it also means we're going to get another game that reminds me of 90s basketball, and that makes me amped as hell. So very much looking forward to game 2 tomorrow. Right?
How can you not be? It's an exciting series. It brings you back. You get those old nostalgia feelings. I got to tell you, feeling more like the 90s old school basketball because, again, defense. It used to be something that people said, and I haven't heard it much said in recent years, but to me it still rings true. Defense wins championships. And if you can score and you can find a way to stop their top scorer or find a way to slow down that offense, I mean, the Pacers run a very up and down game.
Oh, yeah.
They run a very fast-paced game. If the Knicks could, like you said, force them to play their style of basketball, physical, grind it out, half-court offense, like hold that, not let the pace get too out of control, I think the Knicks, the one thing that Thibodeau teaches is defense, and that's their strong suit. They have one of the best defenders in the league in Anunoby, who, again, I have to just eat my words on because that trade is looking better and better with every game he plays.
I told you were not going to. Did I not tell you were not going to regret trading for him?
Yes, you were right, and I was wrong. It's, again, I just got to eat it. I got to own it, and I own it.
This is live casted and recorded.
But this is what you do as a man sometimes. You got to stand up and say, listen, I'm wrong. It happens. So I was completely wrong on the Anunoby trade, and I couldn't be happier about it. I'll be happy to be wrong on this every time because he's turning out fantastic. We just need him to, stay on the court. As long as he does that, I mean, this team, what Hart's doing is phenomenal. I think he's number 2 only behind Jokic in rebounding in the playoffs.
No, he leads the playoffs in rebounding. Literally leads my friend sent me the stat earlier today. Leads the playoffs in rebounding.
There you go.
As a 6'4" guard.
Like 87, right?
Second in all-time history for average rebounds per game in the playoffs, behind some guy that played in the 50s, and he's only behind him by 0.4 rebounds a game.
Who's that guy? George Mikan?
Yeah, right. I'm gonna even remember that name. No, it wasn't like a Hall of Fame name that I've ever heard before. I mean, he might be a Hall of Famer, but. Yeah, if he is, I never heard of him before. Never read the name, saw it ever. I was just like, that's a crazy stat. Like number 2 in all-time NBA history in rebounds per game for a player that's 6'4" or under. Yeah, I mean that's also a weird stat to pay attention to.
I mean, I know it not to I know it's his last name, but I mean he plays with heart.
Like, he does.
he gives it his all, and on every aspect from rebounding to assists to even scoring. Last night, to see him and DiVincenzo combine for 49 points. I mean, they both came to play. DiVincenzo, I know, started slow in the first half, picked it up big time in the second half, had that big three at the end of the game. I mean, these guys are all logging huge minutes, too. We know Tibbs is riding a very short bench right now.
That's what he does.
It's going to be an 8-man rotation pretty much. And, but the one thing is they've been conditioned to do it because they've been doing it all season. So I'm going to hope they keep it going. Going to hope for game 2 keeps it rolling. But I think we could be on, and I'm hoping, knock on wood here, that we're on a collision course for probably Boston. I'm going to guess Boston. They're kicking off game 1 tonight.
Nostalgia. Think about it. The Knicks going through Philly, Indy, and Boston. Like, those are the 3 playoff matches. Like, as a Knicks fan, like, talk about nostalgia. I mean, you're going to be pissed. I also think you want to talk about nostalgia. It's pretty cool seeing Stephon Marbury and John Starks
getting amped.
Walt Frazier, like seeing Ewing against at the one game against the City, like seeing these old Knicks, but not just seeing them at the game courtside. Ooh, Madison Square Garden. No, but like you said.
Cheering.
Like you could hear Stephon Marbury and John Starks screaming during TV timeouts. Like they'd pan to them and they're screaming, like the passion at heart. And a lot of people forget Stephon Marbury is a born and raised New York kid. Like
Melo too.
So there's something special there. The Villanova boys in general, though, like the only thing that's gotta make you worried is with how they play. They need to get ahead, and I don't mean ahead score wise in the game. They've proven numerous times they can fight back from any deficit and keep a game close. But as the series wears on, if you get to that game 6, you saw they almost lost to Philly in game 6, right? You get to that game 6, you get to that game 7 with the short rotation that Tibbs plays, and as the playoffs wear on. The energy, the depth, the ability to maintain that effort level gets harder and harder and harder. And this is a very young team that has not done that. So it's a double-edged sword, right? They're younger, so they got more legs, they got more energy. But the experience side of things and making the right choices, which they've done an amazing job of. To me, though, the big question mark if I'm Indy is where the hell was Halliburton? He's supposed to be your big name player. My man shot the ball at 2 for 6?
Yeah.
And scored 6 points. You were supposed to be the superstar of this team. And then you're not making an appearance anywhere else. His 2 biggest things were 8 assists, 4 steals. Yes, everybody, I'm cheating. I have the stats up in front of me. I am not some guy that memorizes this shit.
Like you're talking, though, in 22 minutes, McConnell was able to put up 18. Yeah. So, I mean, it definitely wasn't Halliburton's best game for sure. I think what did help them was the play at Turner. He drilled, I think, a big 3 at the end of the third. You had Siakam.
Obi.
Obi
Toppin with the in-between the leg dunk in the middle of a playoff game. That's a ballsy move, dude.
That's confidence right there, though. Ooh. That's him showing out and saying, listen, you got rid of me, you traded me, and I'm about to put it down in your face.
I watched that. That was I was like, oh, shit.
That's what that was. That was a little how you like me now.
Yeah, that was dirty.
How you like me now.
I think this series goes. I think the Knicks take this one in 6, just to kind of bring us full circle.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think about that. I think about 6. I'm really hoping it doesn't go 7. But and then just to real quick touch on that last series that we brushed on before, but that Celtics Cavs series. I kind of think that the Celtics are gonna find a way through this. So yeah, I'm leaning Celtics in 5. I don't know how you're feeling.
I think the Cavs will win a game at home, but I think that's all they're going to do. They struggled against the Magic, who are a young and up-and-coming team, but they're still missing a piece or two. Speaking of which, and we'll get to this stuff, in a couple months, but apparently a lot of people, rumors are already starting to say that Klay Thompson could be a veteran presence they bring in to help kind of hold that team together and help them learn how to win. But either way, that's a 7-game series. So Cleveland had to play a tough 7-game series. Now you got to play arguably the best team in the NBA. I mean, they are the best team in the NBA if you go based off of record this season. They are the overall number 1 seed in the playoffs, but I think it's debatable to say whether or not they truly are the best team once we get where we're at. So, but yeah, I got Boston in 5. Tatum, Brown. I just think there's a little too much for Cleveland and Spider Mitchell to be able to keep up with.
Just wanted to check. Porzingis done for the playoffs?
No.
So when's he due back?
So basically, what they're doing is they're kind of like if this was Game 7, he'd play.
Okay, so he's on the verge.
Yeah,
he could play if he needed to, but he's keeping it back.
They're being very cautious because they believe they can beat Cleveland without him.
I'll tell you what though, that series, if it gets there, that Celtics Knicks series, that is going to be. I mean, because not only that, but not only just the history Celtics Knicks, like
the cities,
the cities
themselves.
But now you throw in Porzingis on top of that, and the Unicorn likes to make a special appearance at the Garden. So he could do some damage against the Knicks, and probably that could be a hell of a series. And yeah, I'm gonna say that that's scary. But yeah, I don't know how I'd go in that series.
Hey. You got Game 2 tomorrow night against Indy.
That's what we need to worry about. You can't look ahead. You got to stay where you're at. You can't look ahead.
Stole Game 1 in New York with the Knicks riding the momentum of their.
You know who didn't steal any games though, and just to transition us to the next topic here, but I don't know where I was going with this. So
I don't know.
I guess I'm just gonna
generally sucked.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was a specific
that's what happened right there with that transition.
Type of suck.
Yeah, it just sucked. So there's no easy way to do this. We're just gonna switch over to the NBA. I was gonna try and transition it nicely, but I sucked.
It didn't go well for you.
But no, it doesn't suck is the Rangers. And number 1 team, President's Trophy, President's, is it Cup or President's Trophy?
President's Cup.
I think it's Trophy. I could be wrong. Anyway, Rangers, best team in hockey, kicking ass. They're playing right now down 2-1 to the Hurricanes. Hurricanes actually favored in this series according to Vegas before the series started. Going to be a hell of a series, and I'm excited for it. So I know they're down right now 2-1, but that being said, they're up 1-0 in the series, and they're playing some fun hockey. They're playing good, fun hockey, and Mika Zibanejad has been fun to watch. Panarin, the bread man, Bread himself. I don't have enough good things to say about this team. The goaltending has been excellent so far, and we all know that's what happens in the playoffs. Goaltending wins championships.
Oh, yeah.
And Shesterkin, backed up by Quick, they have a really good 1-2 tandem that can go with anybody else in the league. It's exciting. And 30 years later, here we are again, Knicks and Rangers, but this Ranger team looks good. They look hungry. They look fun. And
imagine they play identically, right? So, like, let's just say the Rangers lost tonight, and then the Knicks lose tomorrow, but then the Rangers win the next game, and the Knicks, and like both series end up in Game 7, and you're like, whoever plays first, you're like, you need to win because if you lose, that means they're gonna lose. Like, that's what like we've said before. Like, fan is short for fanatic, right? Like, you can't help it. But I think what's interesting is I feel like the teams are very evenly matched. I think they play a very similar style of hockey, but I think the Rangers have the leg up on the goaltending side. And I'm not saying leaps and bounds different, right? Like, it's a pretty small margin we're working with here, but I do think the Rangers have the better goaltender. But with that said, I think the main reason why it's hard to argue that the NHL playoffs are one of the most, if not the most entertaining playoffs that are out there is because that puck bounces really weird. Ice works really funny, right? Like all you need is one little thing here, one little thing there. I mean, you could, if you look at the Panthers-Bruins game from last night, Panthers come out up, score quick, up 1-0. They make some stupid mistakes to go down 2-1 because of turnovers in their own zone. And then Boston just piled it on to take game one. Like the Rangers and Hurricanes play very good hockey, and I think it's going to be little things like that that are going to make the difference, right? Hurricanes are up right now 2-1 end of the first
Game
period.
1 though, first period, they put a couple off the crossbar. So I mean, they were within inches of a different outcome in game 1 and a different score, and I mean more than a few times in the first period. And I think throughout the game they probably hit 3 or 4 posts in game 1 at least. So I look at it as a hell of a series. I'm hoping the Rangers take it in 6. I hope it doesn't go the full 7. But this one, to me, looks like it may go the full 7. Like you said, evenly matched. And I got to think that this right here could be who goes to the finals. Like unless they beat each other up so much. But I think the Panthers and Bruins are going to do a good job beating each other up too. So I really think whoever wins this game is really who's going to come out of the East or win this series. I mean,
and we got to shout out our boy Fife, right? Like, if Fife kind of pointed out that like this was an expected matchup you might see in the playoffs, and I think that I wish he was available to be on here with us because his insight is much more high level than what we're able to give. But I will say I think this is going to be a great series. What I was looking for is I wanted to see where Game 7 would fall, and the reason being was because if it was on like a Tuesday, which it's not, it's on a Saturday. So I was going to say if it was on a Tuesday, we're going to have to figure out how we can stream it on one of our additional screens.
We're not going to have to worry about that.
But since it's on a Saturday, if it does go to a Game 7, Mr. Treslar, I'm going to let you know now that we will find somewhere to go watch that game.
I'm in.
That is a hill I will die on this
I'll
evening.
do it.
All right. So
Don't threaten me with a good time.
I've got plenty of friends I know that are Ranger fans, so we'll try to find somewhere that's, in the middle of everybody, make it easy. But that's a game you just can't miss if it gets there. I think it does get there, and that's why I did what I did and brought this up. And I apologize for any nerves I may have caused anybody. But I think it goes 7, but I do think the Rangers win in Game 7.
It would be a hell of a series and exciting to watch. So I'm with you there. Another exciting series to touch on real quick. We'll stay in the East. Bruins, Panthers. Like you said, Panthers get up 1-0, then, 2 goals down. Next thing you know, they're down 1-0 in the series. Again, I think this is another one that could go 6 or 7. Both teams are really good.
Completely agree.
And I just hope they beat each other up enough.
So, again, don't do it. You did this with your Knicks, man.
I can't go ahead.
You've got a game 2 to play right now.
I'm just so happy as a New York fan. I can't help it.
Don't steal your happiness, man. We know what happens when you put the cart before the horse.
One thing that can happen is Boston can steal my happiness. They've done it before. I still have nightmares of 2004.
Oh, my God.
I'm not.
Let's go. I want a Boston-New York Eastern Conference Finals in the NHL, a Boston-New York Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA, and the amount of things that are out there that will be talked about, the memories. You want to see MSG with a bunch of New York fans? Tell me you don't get a New York-Boston in NHL or NBA.
They're supporting each other right now. Believe it or not, like you had forget who it was last night, maybe Harkenstein or somebody came in Rangers jersey walking into the arena. You have these guys supporting each other. To see that the other New York sports guys, though, the Yankees, the other people in town are showing up too. And I think that it brings a camaraderie, it brings that fandom together, and it's an exciting time again for multiple cities and multiple sports teams. But you look at it, you go around the NHL though. You have the Mavericks. You could have the Mavericks in the finals and the Stars in the finals. Oh, yeah.
That to me, just real quick, outside of the Rangers-Carolina series, I think that Dallas-Colorado series is going to be arguably the best series of the entire NHL playoffs. Like, I think that series is going to be just utterly insane. what Colorado was able to do against the Jets last round, Dallas being able to win in Game 7 against the defending Stanley Cup champions. You're talking two really good teams that can score the puck. Like, I think that could be arguably the best series of the entire playoffs. I think that series could be that fun. Like, that could be 7 games, 5-4 games.
And guess what? The Avalanche,
games.
Where do they play?
Colorado.
Know who else plays in Colorado? The Denver Nuggets.
Oh, shit.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of...
I did actually see one of those memes. You know the ones with the snake heads, whatever the hell it's called, the hydras or whatever, right? And it's like the one sports emblem on the one looking mean and tough is the Dallas Stars. The next one's the Dallas Mavericks. The next tough one is who plays baseball in the Dallas area. Or is it just the Houston Astros? I don't.
Yeah, Astros probably.
So maybe the Astros, because it had all 4 major sports in the U.S. The 3 mean-looking ones.
Or the Rockies, you mean? Maybe the Rockies.
That's Colorado.
Colorado Rockies.
Yeah. No, this was all Dallas sports teams because the stupid.
Oh, Dallas. I thought we were talking
because of the stupid, idiotic-looking Hydra head was the Cowboys emblem. So all the other Hydra heads looked all tough and mean, and Dallas was like,
they're looking a little stupid. Well, I mean, listen, I got to tell you, I don't think many people were impressed with their draft. So, from what I've heard,
no,
and I know you weren't too happy with it either. But
that's not for tonight. I bitched a moment.
I'm with you though. That Stars Avalanche series is one hell of a series. I think another monster series is that Canucks Oilers series. I mean, you have Connor McDavid, one of the league's best, one of the brightest young faces out there. Who doesn't want to see him succeed? So you know what I mean? Like, you have a lot of compelling series. And to me, I know we talked a lot more basketball than we probably did hockey tonight.
That's for the best interest of everybody listening, because we'll start repeating ourselves and
but not only that, but I'm just saying, like, the one hill I'm going to always die on is, as exciting as it is, and I love watching the Knicks right now, and I love watching the Rangers right now, but overall, as a playoffs, hockey playoffs are just
better.
They're just better. Overall, I'm saying across the board, that's the way I feel.
The games are more competitive. It's more consistent action. And all in all, it's sad to say. And that's why I've been enjoying watching the Knicks play, whoever they play, is because it's requiring the basketball I grew up watching, and not just constantly chucking up the 3-ball and, one-on-one basketball. There's a lot more to it. It's a lot more fun to watch. The team play, the movement, the defense. All of it's been a lot more fun. But the NHL is just, I mean, and notice, like, great, monster, best. These are some of the words we use to describe 3 of the 4 series going on. And damage was the other word to describe the Panthers Bruins. Like, those guys are going to cause damage to each other, which still means a competitive series. But, like, the hype for the other 3, like, so, I mean, 75%, you're doing pretty, I mean, just in general, it's just a more entertaining experience because of how the game is played and how well matched the teams are.
Yeah, take the Rangers and the Knicks out, and I got to be honest, I'm more likely to watch the Stars Avalanche than I am Minnesota Denver.
I would say I'll watch both, just because I'm
saying if you had to pick one, though, say you had to go walk into a room, you had TVs playing. One's playing the Stars Avalanche, one's playing the Nuggets and the T-Wolves, and you got to walk into one of those doors and stay in that room and watch that game. I'm walking into Stars Avalanche every time.
I don't know about every time, but I'm definitely walking in. I'm going Stars Avalanche first, but I might hit third period, or maybe go to the Dallas Denver game for the first 2 quarters, and then go watch the third period of the Stars Avalanche game, and then get back to the I would be very torn and wish there was 2 versions of myself so that I could actually enjoy both games. But that's not how life works. So I would have to pick one door, and if I have to, I would go Stars Avalanche, because I really think that's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. Like, that game's gonna keep me up later tonight than I want to be awake. I'll put it that way, right? You figure a hockey game is about 2.5 hours. That game's going to take me to midnight. I like,
easily midnight.
I like to be in bed by 10:45, 10:30. If I go to bed,
missing the third period, then
that's the worst part. And there's no way I'm going to watch the first 2 periods and be like, sorry guys, gotta go to bed. Like, so for anybody
I'll tell you what,
I'm sorry tomorrow.
that second intermission is going to be a killer for you.
Oh, that's gonna be rough. That's gonna be rough. I got too much to do tomorrow, so I can't drink to keep myself awake and wash away the concern of being responsible. So, also everybody, I want to shout it out. Me and Eric both rocking Marvel shirts today. I've got like the team. I got Spider-Man. I got Daredevil, Iron Man. Got Hulk, Captain America, Thor.
You got pretty much you got the whole squad there. Yeah, you got the whole squad.
Hey, Hawkeye, you can't be in this. We're gonna bring in the Spider-Man and Daredevil instead, which I'm cool with. But either way, oh, I got Wolverine up here. I never actually like fully looked at who's on this shirt. I just saw Marvel and got it. I was all good with it, and I see Eric with his Captain America shield on him.
Yeah, listen.
So,
I mean, Cap. Listen, America. Can't not support America.
So, speaking of which, I think that's the one thing that does work in the Rangers' favor, too. Like, America, right? Like, it's an election year. Red, white, and blue. You know.
Patriotic.
New York. Like, I think maybe that works in their favor as well. I don't know. You're grasping at strings here. I don't want to see the Rangers, nor do I want to see the Knicks win a championship. I'm bitter like that. It is what it is. But I will tell you, I will be very happy for my friends that get to experience that, and then I'll curse them internally.
It's up to you, New York.
How much did you enjoy?
New York.
Can I just ask, as you sing New York, how we talk about nostalgia and everything? And I'm good talking NBA. I'm good, but I just have to say this because I think anybody out there that's listening to this or watching us, shout out to anybody that might be out there watching.
Catching a replay later.
I think that the one most nostalgic thing that no matter who you are, that was very enjoyable last night was when they would cut to commercial break and you heard the old school 90s jam, "Go New York, go New York, go New York." I'm like, oh my God, they are just vibing on this. They're taking advantage of how long it's been. And man, did that hit some heartstrings right there. Like, I thought of my dad on that one. Like, my dad, when the Knicks would be beating the Bulls, he'd look over at me and be like, "Go New York, go New York." Like, you know my dad. Like, he was a very quiet, calm man. And he'd just look at me and be like, "Go New York, go New York, go." I'd be like, you know what? Like, I was too young to curse at him, but man, did I want to curse at him.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, listen, that's what they're there for. They rib you. That's
their job.
It's the times you remember, though, in the sports that you grew up with, being able to have that camaraderie, because that's where we all get it from. That's where whether it was your mother, father, wherever, you got that fandom from somewhere. You got that because from your friends, from somewhere. And to have those memories of the first time, like, I can still remember the very first, like, one of the earliest sports memories I have, believe it or not, is the kick right. With wide right for the Giants in the Super Bowl. You know, some of my earliest memories of watching, like, the Rangers in '94 with my dad on the couch, you know, and just getting into hockey for the first time as a kid. Like, those are things that stick with you forever.
Oh, yeah. They're worth every moment as a parent.
Absolutely. But, I mean, they're worth the memories, too. Because now you look back and you're like, at the moment, I was like, shut up, Dad, whatever. You're annoying. Like, go watch the game in the other room. Now you look back and you're like, but that was, like, awesome. Like, you guys were sitting there and enjoying the same thing, and maybe in different ways, and maybe you were upset that the Bulls were losing that game or whatever. But at the same time, you know, you were having fun with your dad, and that's what it's all about.
I look at it like this. He would have a game every now and then that he could do that to me, but I always got the last laugh because the Knicks would always get knocked out of the playoffs by the Bulls, and then I'd get to watch the Bulls win the finals. So I always had the last laugh, and it was always funny to see him get into it and all that. I'll never forget the one playoff game. Knicks fans to this day will die on the hill of saying that was it Oakley got fouled. Remember, it was like a scramble at the rim and rebound. This is a whole freaking thing, and people to this day will die on the hill saying that was a foul. Chicago shouldn't have gotten the ball. The Knicks should have won that game, which would have gave them the series. Like, all this shit. And I'm like, nope, didn't happen. Sorry, move the hell on. Just like Pacers fans, it was a bad call, but you blew a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter. You got to move the hell on. And I don't know about you if you have anything else for us to get to, but
No,
I feel like saying move the hell on is like, hey, like, yeah, it's time.
I think it's time for us to move the hell on too. So I kind of agree with you there. So why don't you do me a favor and tell the kiddies, or I keep saying that, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, it's going to be real awkward if our target audience is like 5 to 8-year-old children. We're going to have a lot more to worry about than YouTube being mad at us for cursing. I'll just say that. But David Hastings 23 at X. I got it right this time. David Hastings 23 at X. Besides that, I don't really do much posting or anything.
Well, you can follow us at Die on This Hill on YouTube, at Die on This Hill, Spotify, Apple. Find me on X at The Living Legend. Until next time, don't be afraid to have an opinion and die on this hill.